Where freedom, law, and justice is denied, war is inevitable. Nearly a millennium and a half ago, the Gorun Empire collapsed, bringing chaos to the planet of Gallente Prime. However, from this struggle came the birth of freedom to the New Eden cluster. It was this precious seed of freedom that first made contact with their younger sisters on their neighboring planet of Caldari. The planet of Caldari Prime was cold, and only recently habitable thanks to the completion of an ancient terraforming project. But with the aid of the Gallente people, they were able to survive and thrive, and together they took to the stars, and together they built the first Stargate from their mutual cradle of Luminaire. Soon after came contact with the Intaki and the Manar, and so many others. So many lost and wayward children barely surviving on their own. But together, freedom grew. But the Caldari refused to contribute to the shared burden that freedom brings to those who wish to maintain it. The gall of the corporate overlords have driven their people to deception, rebellion, and terrorism. Where freedom, law, and justice is denied, war is inevitable. On February 21st, YC-111, Marcel Devereaux, AI genius and cluster-renowned engineer of Capsuleer Tools, was born for the second time. His dream of a robotics and technology manufacturing powerhouse was soon realized in Aideron Robotics, named after his home constellation. But peace was not for Aideron Robotics, not so long as freedom is in peril. Marcel was a fierce loyalist to the Gallente people, and in YC-114, when the Militia War Powers Act of YC-110 was restructured, the once industrial powerhouse of Aideron Robotics transformed itself into the defenders of the innocent and killers of those who would persecute them. When the Northern Militia deemed Hades too hard to hold, Aider held. When the Caldari uprising of YC-118 caused the majority of the Gallente powers to give up their territory, Aider refused to give up the South, and from their base in Fliet, the South held. Inspired by Aideron's stalwart defense, Mecha Enterprises' fleet joined up and Federation Uprising was born. From Intaki to Valor, the South was free, thanks to FedUp and Aideron Robotics. Only after Aider was asked by FedUp to leave the war zone was the Caldari allowed to take Fliet, if only for a moment. Enraged by this, Aideron left FedUp and rejoined the war zone, retook Fliet, and again it stands as a bastion of freedom in an otherwise conflicted war zone. Now the Gallente militia is in shambles. Valor Accords, previously seen as the last bastion of Gallente support in the war zone, has moved to Mimitar militia, abandoning the Caldari and Gallente war zone. The fighting is hard. Organized pirate lords roam the area, and new threats rise within the state. And now an army of Amarian drones have descended upon our territories, threatening everywhere not being actively patrolled, and bringing the threat to our very doorsteps. But we will hold. Aideron Robotics needs you. The Federation needs you. Freedom and democracy itself needs you to join us in continuing our journey. When they said it couldn't be done, we did. When they said it wasn't worth it, we proved them wrong. Defend freedom. Defend democracy. Join the growing legacy of Aideron Robotics.